Welcome to the Professor's Parlor, a think tank media podcast, hosted by Dr. Berkita S. Bradford and Dr. Sherrie Tennessee. This is a space for real conversations about professional growth, career pathways, and what's next for hospitality and tourism. From entrepreneurship to industry leadership and the lived experiences of students on HBCU campuses, each episode blends academic insight with real-world perspective. Pull up a chair. Let's get into it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Professor's Parlor. I am so glad to have you in the parlor tonight. And as I explained to you when I tricked you into being on the show, this is an organic show. And we have several topics that we may talk about. So don't feel pressured to, this is as if we named it the Professor's Parlor because we envision if we were sitting around in the parlor in our living room or family room or whatever you call it, having a conversation. So we'll do around the, I'm a big sports fan and I like around the horn. And so we'll do this around the horn as if we'll go around doing introductions. I know that for the most part, we all know each other. I am Berkita Bradford, and along with my co-host, Dr. Sherrie Tennessee, we do Professor's Parlor. And as just kind of as an FYI for our audience, I chair the hospitality program at North Carolina Central University in the School of Business in Durham, North Carolina. I went there last year. I returned to NCCU. So fun fact, in 2005, when I graduated, I went to NCCU for 5 years and left in 2010. So I returned to the nest, if you will. NCCU is referred to as the nest because they're eagles. And so we say the nest. And it was very interesting. Reality kicked in how long I've been doing this when we had opening convocation this semester and I received something for like a 20-year anniversary. I was like, whoa, I remember when I was 20. Now I've worked somewhere 20 years. But at any rate, we'll let our guests go and then Dr. Sherrie will let you finish up. I'll pivot to Davonne first.
Oh, well, hi, everyone. Good evening. And thank you so much, Dr. Berkita and Sherrie, for bringing me on your podcast. I'm excited to be here along with my good friend in the industry, Donte Johnson. So I'm excited for this conversation. For those who don't know who I am, I started off as a front desk agent at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta, where I attended Georgia State University. And I navigated my way from hotel ownership navigated my way from operations into hotel ownership. So I have experience in asset management and operations. And how can I forget this? When I was at school, I was president. When I was at Georgia State, I was president of my student chapter of the National Society of Hospitality Consultants. So definitely been in the industry for over close to 20 years now. And I'm excited to be here and excited for the conversation.
Thank you. All right, Donte, it's your turn. Yes.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Bradford. That's what I call you. That's what I know you as. And Sherrie for having us on. As Davonne mentioned, she and I've kind of become tight over the years. Met in industry circles, and I've always been deeply impressed by what she's been able to do. Been a huge fan, and so
Absolutely.
Really honored to kind of share the space with her. My name is Donte Johnson, area GM with Donahoe Hospitality Services, DC-based third-party hotel management group, and 20-plus year industry veteran. I've worked in DC, Miami, Baltimore, most recently Atlanta, before coming back home to DC in June of this year, and just have deeply enjoyed everything I've been able to do and been exposed to in the industry, including doing recruitment for Hyatt, which is where I first met Dr. Bradford at Virginia State, which I've had multiple family members who attended VSU. I have a cousin who's about to graduate from there soon, and so when you mentioned that you were, headed back to North Carolina Central, my first thought was, well, you stuck with me forever, so we're always going to be in touch. And so honored to be able to contribute to the conversation.
Thank you. And looks like we may be having some technology challenges. Okay, she's back. She's back. Okay.
Excellent.
All right. Sherrie, it's on you.
Yeah, and I might have some too. My neighbors are like drilling the backyard. So, hi everyone. I am Dr. Sherrie, Tennessee. I come from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I live currently in Las Vegas, and I am very long title online coordinator, satellite liaison, and assistant professor at the Virginia State University. I'm just always excited for the conversation, all the things that we learn and discuss, and just to get that real world perspective from industry leaders. So with that, Berkita, I'm going to bounce it back to you and your first set of questions or topic.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So, since we're in the parlor, we're going to mix it up a little bit. And I'm not going to do this. Oh, could you tell me how you got here and all of that? I don't want to do that. And to be totally honest, I'm not sure that our readers want to hear that. So, what I am going to do, I am going to ask each of you to share your journey however you see fit. And so Donte did mention his hotel, but I know that he also wrote a book. So maybe we'll hear about the book as well. So share your journey and tell us, I mean, even if you want to say when you had the epiphany to know that hospitality was for you, I knew it was for me when I was in elementary education. And I went to work with my mom, and she was teaching second grade. And I realized I had a serious epiphany. I don't like kids enough to teach kids. And I literally changed my major that day. So I strongly believe in internships, because had I not gone to work with my mother, I would not have known, because I was teaching Sunday school at my church and I taught kindergarten age, and I just thought that was for me. So we'll start with Donte this time. So share your journey and tell the audience what you would like them to know about you and your journey.
Okay. I'll try and tell the quick version of the story.
Okay.
So when I graduated college with a degree in journalism, I had an aunt who worked at a hotel. After an entire summer of trying to find jobs, writing with no relationships, no internships, no prior experience, that proved pretty impossible. And so she recommended that I look into hotel jobs. I scheduled 2 interviews for 2 hotel companies. One of them was the first interview I had, canceled on the spot. A lady came out, looked at my hair, said, I'm not going to interview that guy, and went back into the office and said they'd reschedule. I never heard from them again. I found out from a friend who worked there that I didn't meet the grooming standards for that company, and that's why they didn't continue with the interview. So I called the next interview and said, hey, listen, if you all have grooming standards that I don't meet, I don't want to waste your time, but I'm not going to cut my hair for the job. They said, come on in, let's just see what happens. And so that ultimately was my entry into the industry. They offered me a front desk position, started there, and this was Kempton in the early 2000s. I was hired on August 21st, 2001. So we all know what happened a few weeks later. The entire industry falls apart. And as they were doing sort of the trimming of the org chart following 9/11, they put it to a vote, and by 3 votes to 2 margin, I got to stay on the team. So that's how my career got started.
Wow.
And so having that be the way that I came into the industry, and sort of having that feeling of, well, I was welcomed in eventually, but not initially, I think it always kind of colored my experience a bit. And I always thought to myself, whenever I get to a space where I can influence outcomes, I'm going to remember what it was like in the beginning. And that goes for the beginning of my career. That goes for the beginning of life. Just kind of growing up in DC in the 80s, which is a wild time. My thought was always, there's a way that these businesses can participate in communities where people don't have that experience. And if I have anything to do with it, the next generation of people who come into the space will come into something that that's been sort of more deeply curated to create space for them. And much in the same way that the people who came before us would have done to create opportunity for me to do what I've done and for Davonne to do what she's done. And
Wow.
so fast forward a couple decades, back in my hometown, Donahoe as a company has, been around in DC for 100 years. My dad worked for Donahoe. That hotel that my aunt worked at, and she recommended that I get into the industry, is a Donahoe hotel. And so I've been sort of in the orbit of this company for most of my adult life. Thomas Penny, who's the president of Donahoe, I've known since I was in high school. So there's a lot of, to me, the industry, in many ways has saved me. And I just want to see those outcomes be more widespread. And I want to see more people have the experience that I've been able to have on the other side of the initial nonsense that I went through.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's very enlightening. And, I find that very interesting because we now have the Crown Act and
That's right.
perhaps, that helps individuals.
Right.
But you're always the best dressed man in the room. So to say that you didn't meet the grooming standards, I mean,
Listen, I thank you for
you're the
that.
best dressed,
I,
you're the
I
best dressed
received
person
that.
in the room right now, the virtual
I
room,
appreciate it.
because I have already gone into school vacation mode and I am very casual here. I had to put on a hoodie that wasn't black
Listen, I love a
so
good
that y'all
hoodie.
can see me. Yes,
I love a
yes.
good hoodie.
Okay. I love that. Okay. So now we're gonna pivot to our hotel owner and see what her journey has been.
So I got my start off just like Donte at the front desk. But so actually, while I was at Georgia State University, I think it was my second year. My second year at Georgia State, the Atlantic Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think I was vice president of the chapter. This is before I joined NSMH and before I started working at the Hyatt. They had a survey where they wanted to interview any students who wanted to volunteer. It's like $8 an hour or something like that, even though it was like 2 hours, but still. And so
Mhm.
I took advantage of it, and it was the same hotel every day because we got to choose from all the major convention hotels, and I chose the Hyatt. And so I was at the hotel just about every morning or daily for a couple of hours before I had class. And interviewing people. I go to Georgia State. They didn't say no. So I smiled a lot. And
Mm.
so the rooms exec at the time was like, you know what, you smile a lot. Do you want a job? I was like, he's like, it pays $10 an hour. I was like, oh my gosh. In my mind, I was like, I'm gonna be rich. That's what I thought. In my
You are.
mind. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, just gonna be, from $0 an hour to $10 And so I was like, oh
absolutely.
my gosh. And so that was like my first professional job interview, have a suit on. I was practicing. And that was like the easiest interview ever because whoever makes the final decision, the rooms exec make the final decision for the front desk. So, and that was the start of my hospitality career. And so I spent 6 years at the Hyatt. That was my journey. And then it's so funny how I got introduced to hotel ownership. This was post graduation, post college. I was a part of an organization called Under 30 Gateway, and it was a part of the American Hotel Lodging Association. And I was on the board, and there were Indians there, and you had to like name all your different industries. I'm thinking I'm a superstar, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna be a general manager one day or director of sales. And then there was a group of Indians, and they told me that they own hotels.
Mm.
They developed hotels, and I was like, wait, what? Now they left out a minor detail that they probably inherited their hotels, but still, the fact that they
Yeah.
own hotels, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. Like, this is the highest position in a hotel. Like, I want to do it. And a lot of people doubted me. They was like, you need money and all these different things that I didn't understand what they were talking about. But I just knew that I was going to own
Mhm.
a hotel. Matter of fact, I even went up to Mark Hoplamazian, CEO of Hyatt. We had like a town hall at the Hyatt or something like that, and nobody went and talked to him, but I went up to him, and I was like, "I'm going to own a hotel one day. How do you own one?" This is me,
Mhm.
just curious and crazy, going up to the CEO of Hyatt because in
Mhm.
my mind, he knows how to own a hotel.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and so from there, it led me to a
I
nine
call that crazy faith.
crazy faith. There you go.
That's what I call it. Yes.
And so from there, it led me to taking a non-paid internship. Again, this is after college. My dad definitely did not agree with me working for free. I took a non-paid internship for a hotel asset management company in Atlanta.
Mm.
Because in my mind, to learn about hotel ownership, the best way to learn it is from working with owners. So it was a third party hotel asset management firm. Worked there for 3 months. I worked at the there in the morning and the Hyatt at night to pay my bills. Did that for 3 months, and then they loved me so much, so I stayed on full time. And I stayed there for about 2 years, and that's how I learned about hotel ownership. That's how I developed relationships that I have today. Then I went to Boston for 2 years, so worked for CHM Warnick, which is one of the largest third-party hotel asset management firms. And again, building relationships and learning so much about hotel ownership. And then fast forward to 2017, became an entrepreneur, started my own consulting firm, and then in 2020 acquired my first hotel outside of corporate, the Home 2 Suites in El Reno, Oklahoma. And then in 2021 acquired 2 more. And then earlier this year, we sold our Indiana portfolio. And then in 2022, I launched Vestor, which is a crowdfunding platform which allows folks to get into hotel ownership, or get into hotel investing with as little as $5,000. So that's a short and sweet pathway to where I am talking to you all.
Thank you so much for that. So to me, as I listen to you, there are several things that jump out to me. And one is relationships, one is being intentional, and one is being flexible.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to ask you to do now, the educator in me, is pick one of those words and just speak to it. Because one of my concerns, I'm gonna tell y'all my hair story too. One of my concerns with as we, work to have these fabulous, creative, innovative young folks placed, and to move them from the campus to the corporate world or whatever that looks like for them, is being flexible and pivoting. Because I talked to you as someone who wanted to be a flight attendant because I wanted to go everywhere, but nobody told me you had to be 5'4", and y'all know that I'm 5'0". So that plan didn't work out, and I had to pivot. And I worked front desk, and they built me a step that I could stand on and check people in. So, but they won't do. Turns out they won't do that for you on the airplane. But anyway, and
That's their loss. It's their loss.
My hair story is I was working. My hair story is I was working at the front desk, and I had a ponytail. And because before I had locks and things, I've had a lot. I loved ponytails, and I would put it right here. And my manager told me, I was in a management training program, and my manager told me, Berkita, I like your hair better. I went to work one day right after the salon, and it wasn't in a ponytail. I like your hair better like that. Well, being the person who I was in my early 20s, she should have never told me that. Because of course, what did I do? From that point on, I had a ponytail at the top of my head. So I have a hair story too, but I pushed through, and I didn't lose my job, anything like that. I was already there, but I did rebel and push back in my own way, because I'm like, you're not going to tell me how to wear my hair. So that was my hair story.
It's such a common story though. And I think
I think
so many of us have these experiences in this space. I bring it up a lot because, not just because it happened to me as my first experience in the industry, but because, to your point, the Crown Act just passed a few years ago.
Absolutely.
So
right.
that means for decades upon decades,
people were suffering.
I have friends who spend hours in the chair and hundreds of dollars only to get to work and be told they have to take their braids out. And I think, to me, that's one small version of an image that sort of perpetuates the industry. But there's still things in handbooks all over the place that
absolutely,
I hope the Berkitas of today are fighting against in their workplace, because it really reflects a very narrow view on who has value. And I think if we don't challenge those things, then they never get changed.
Yeah. As was it India Irie said it best, I'm not my hair.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not my hair. So it's
I'm not the skin that I'm in, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So now that you've had some time to think, flexible relationships. So which one? We said flexible relationships, and I would say hard work. You were open to ideas, but intentional. You were intentional with some things, and not only you, those that recruited you, the person who said you had a beautiful smile, the aunt who said come work because she knew her nephew you know, in her mind, she probably just like, he needs a job, but not thinking it was going to turn into a career. And even with me,
Mhm.
my mother eventually told me that she knew elementary education wasn't for me, but it was for me to decide. And that's why she had me to come to her school. And oh boy, did she know her daughter.
And we only can
So,
pick one.
well,
Just
you,
one.
you,
Can
you,
we
One. It's a
rank them?
30-minute segment.
well,
Right,
I'll give you
we
two.
are
I'll give you
23 minutes
two.
in.
Let's do two, and and give us the fast version of it.
I would say I would rank them. So I would say
Oh,
relationships,
I like
right?
this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would definitely say relationships because when you get into business and specifically the hospitality industry, it's all about relationships. I don't think I would not be where I am if it wasn't the relationships that I cultivated, right?
We're here tonight because of relationships.
Absolutely, right.
Mhm.
And so,
Absolutely.
I know Donte and I met you, Berkita. So just those relationships and
Mhm.
keeping them going because you never know where, and you always want to, end on a good note, So
Mhm.
I really try to treat people like how I want to be treated or
Mhm.
even better than how I want to be treated. And that's helped me a long way. Another thing would be flexible. A lot of times I've noticed with young people, even when I was in school, people have like a direct path and it's like this is what I'm going to do, and they don't deviate, and that's not how life
Mhm.
works. If I wasn't flexible, I wouldn't be talking to you all today. There wasn't a straight path to becoming a hotel owner for me. Given my background, I'm the first person in my immediate family to own commercial real estate. Immediate to be a millionaire. So
Mhm.
if I wouldn't have been flexible and been open to possibilities and been open to pivot, by taking that non-paid internship, that was not only a
Mhm.
huge risk,
Mhm.
but that was me being flexible because if I could have just been like, I'm not going to do that. I need to get paid. I graduated from college and you need to pay me. And then I wouldn't have gotten the hotel ownership. So you have to be flexible. And the biggest thing is when you're being flexible, you have to think about what's the end game in mind, right? What's the purpose? And the big picture. That's what I'm getting at. You have to think about the big picture. So I'm a big picture person. So that's why I try to be flexible if it's going to get me the end result that I'm looking for.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
I think I think that's incredibly well put. For me, I think relationships are everything. And as you both mentioned, we're having this conversation right now because of relationships. When I got to Atlanta, Davonne was one of the first people to stop by the hotel and visit. And we had only met briefly, but I've said this to a number of people, two people on this call right now that, I like you, I like what you got going on, and you're stuck with me. So, you'll hear from me from time to time, and whatever I can do to be supportive, I'm here for it. And Davonne has said to me, whenever she's doing a thing in the city where I'm working, she's going to do it where I work. That to me is everything.
Yes, that
And
is. That
the first day I
is.
met
I love
Davonne, I
that.
bought 5 copies of her book and gave them away to people who I thought would benefit from it. And so to me, that's the industry. We are the people. And so we're
Mhm.
meant to navigate these spaces this way. And if we're showing up for each other authentically, then I think there's nothing that can't be done, on the other side of that. So to me, the people are everything. It's really all I care about in any space that I'm in is, what's
I
going on
love
with them
that.
and being supportive.
Okay. All right, Dr. Sherrie, what you got? And then we'll let them close out as we watch this clock over here. Everyone that we bring, we run out of time.
Both mentioned, well, Berkita mentioned, and it's in our little chat, Donte, that you have a book, and now Davonne, that you have a book as well. Can you talk about that a little bit more? I love so I have 5 with a coloring book coming out in a couple of weeks and then a nonfiction next year. But I tell everyone when I do the book signings, like, tell your story, write a book. It leads your legacy, it's residual income. Can you share a little bit about what prompted you to write the book and what your experience has been with those for both?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll jump in quickly. I think for me, what the book was about was we were doing a lot of storytelling anyway around the work that we were doing. Impact hospitality as a philosophy to me is something that I just want to be in as many rooms as possible. And to kind of distill that down to a simple statement, it's really the intersection of social impact and hospitality. And the belief is that, you know, in our industry, we're uniquely positioned to add value to the communities where we operate.
I
And the
agree.
belief is that that is a competitive differentiator and value add to the business itself when done properly. And so what I found was that people would hear about, you know, the work that we did in intentional sourcing, or the work that we did to sort of change the culture in the space, or the work that we did with culture and programming, but few of them had the comprehensive view of everything that we were doing, sort of holistically at the hotel. And so to be able to tell the broader story, like I always joke that I end up talking about toilet paper on every stage because that's what was hot during the pandemic, and that was one of the best ways
Hmm.
to be quote, right? But I think to enable the conversation, to your point, to go in the rooms that I may not be in, like someone bought a copy of this book in the Philippines last month. And it's like, well, I've never been in the Philippines, but the story and the philosophy is now getting into spaces where we're not. That's really what motivated me to take on the endeavor of writing the book. This is not my retirement plan. I don't suspect that I'll make $1 million selling the book. It's really more
You never
about
know.
holding up. I mean, I would love to, but it's really more about creating a model that somebody who
Hmm.
is passionate about community can point to and say, well, here's an example of where it worked when they're having to do the alignment work with their stakeholder ecosystem to get things approved, and to be able to get the support that they need to go about the business of hospitality with the spirit of hospitality embedded in it.
I love it. I love it. I
Awesome.
love it.
So,
Okay.
how I came up with my book. So, I have a community of folks. When I mean a community, in 2019, I started talking more about getting Black people into hotel ownership or hotel investing. And so, I've been on. I have a social media following, I have a email list, so Facebook, so just a strong community, in-person events that Donte and I was just talking about. And so folks were asking, well, is there a book on how to buy a hotel? And I was like,
Mm.
wait, there's not. So I was like, I just created. And so when I found that the name was available, I was like, wow, the name is available. How to buy a hotel? I was shocked. But, and
I
so
am too.
yeah, bought the domain name and everything. And so have my second edition came out. That's the first edition. The second, so they're both on Amazon. And so it walks folks through how to buy a hotel. The second edition that I just put out, it includes a case study of me selling me and my business partner selling our two hotels. And then also what I've learned from folks in the community, right? So my pathway was a little different getting the hotel ownerships, and I contributed a lot of that to relationships. But there's a lot of people who got into hotel ownership and they didn't. It wasn't from a relationship. It was more so because they worked with me or I connected them with the right people. And so they built relationships. And so I put a lot of that in the book. AI is a big factor now.
Hmm.
When I started out on this journey, AI wasn't here. Right.
Wasn't, no.
And so so able to incorporate, okay, here's a tool that you can use to help you with the analyzing, to help you with the market research, teaching folks about the different organizations that they can join, the different conferences. So just more of information and just giving tools that I've learned along the way that people needed, because I already knew it. Like I know what conferences to go to, I know the vendors, I know the lawyer, I know
Right.
who I need to work with to build an acquisition team, or I call an A team. But if you're just starting out, then what do I do? Or if you're transitioning from operations and you want to get into hotel ownership, what does that look like? Right.
Mhm.
So just essentially putting my experience as well as other people, to date, I've created close to 200 Black hotel owners and investors since
Wow.
2019. Oh, thank
I'd
you.
make my students snap. We snap.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And,
We
and
don't,
when people
yes.
and when people ask me, it's really hard to track because sometimes people they invest in other hotels. Like if they see me or they may
Hmm.
send me a note, and I'm like, I just invested in so and so hotel because of you, right? Or I invested in this real estate investment trust because of you,
Yeah.
or they
And
invested in
that's
my
when I met
hotel.
you at the REIT conference in New York. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So,
Hmm.
people they're like, I invested in hotel stocks, or I invested in this, or some people they were on the podcast and now they're developing a Fairfield Inn in, North Carolina. So it's directly working with people.
I
I've
feel
worked.
like she spoke over my life.
I felt
Beautiful,
that.
man.
I did feel
That's,
that.
and that's beautiful.
But
Yeah.
can I get a Ritz Carlton?
Hey, come on, let's make it happen, boo. But you know, if you want to
Yes.
make some money, let's go back to that Fairfield Inn.
That's right.
That
I do know from the
there you
professor
go
in
to
me
make some
knows
money.
about the economy brands. You're so
Right.
right. You're so
So
right.
so that's what the book is really about. It's just more of the community aspect.
Mhm.
You know, having those in-person events, you know, we had our event at a black-owned hotel with a black general manager, you know,
Mhm.
at Donte's Hyatt House in DC, and just cultivating and curating those experiences where you get to meet other like-minded individuals and investors. And so all of that it led me to the book, because they pretty much
Led you to the
asked,
book.
and I created. And with the second edition, you know, I have online courses as well, you know, to get folks to understand and analyzing the deal, and just putting out as much information and resources that people ask, that you know I know, but it's like, or if I don't know, I know where to I know where to go to get
You
the
know who to
answer.
connect them to. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So unfortunately, we have to bring the parlor conversation to a stop. But I will say several things. This has been wonderful. So I'm going to
Yeah,
give
so
you
informative.
like 20 seconds to close out. And this is like real 20 seconds, not like DoorDash Lyft 20 seconds. You know how they keep resetting. But two things,
Okay.
shameless, no shame in my game. I would love to have the two of you come to NCCU and talk about your book, and maybe do a book signing and speak.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we have Calvin Stovall coming, and so we just gonna keep doing the doggone thing, because one of the things that I think we're charged with, those of us that are in this business, is there's still so many rooms that not only people who look like us aren't in, we don't even know that the room exists.
Right.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so I think that it is upon us to, as one of my friends used to say, when you take the elevator to the top, send it back down to bring more people up.
That's right.
And so it is for us to do this, because hospitality can be life changing for
Mhm.
individuals. And I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I feel that I am extremely blessed and fortunate to do this. I am literally sitting in my sister's house, and she's married to a chef, and they have a business, you know. And so, hey,
So
you
you
just
about to
never
eat some
know.
good food?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
having
Okay.
so I'm pescatarian. I'm having seafood stuffed bell peppers. And
Ooh,
yeah, that's what I'm having when this is
that
all
sounds
over.
amazing.
It is. You know what? Next time we do this, maybe we'll actually be in the parlor and I have y'all some.
Yeah,
Yes,
say them
yes,
stuffed bell
yes.
peppers.
So I'm gonna give all of you the 20 seconds. I'm gonna start with Sherrie. And Sherrie, you showed them what 20 seconds is.
So I do. I think, Davonne, you said it first and best. Like, it's not a straight path. My undergrad is actually in biology, and I was doing cancer research and was introduced to hospitality. My dad told me I should be a teacher, but I was thinking K-12, never thought about higher ed until I really stepped into it. So those factors, those individuals that kind of give the guidance is so important, and that it's not a straight path that meanders and you always end up where you're supposed to be. 20 seconds.
Absolutely,
Beautiful.
absolutely. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Go, y'all jump in like double dutch. Just jump
Excellent.
in.
So I'll say this with my 20 seconds, just gratitude. I'm
Mhm.
grateful to be in this space and sharing conversation with you all tonight. Davonne, grateful for everything that you're doing to expand the spectrum of hotel ownership and to really create a movement behind that. Dr. Bradford, you know, I'm eternally grateful to you. The book that we were just talking about wouldn't exist were it not for you connecting dots with Kurt over at Kendall Hunt. And so I think, again, going back to relationships, I'm deeply grateful for mine, especially the ones that are present here tonight.
Echoing Dante, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the relationships that have been built, for the students and for everyone else who's listening. Just be intentional, and also be grateful as well. You
Mhm.
know, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just be the best version of you. Hopefully you set out your goals for 2026. My 20 seconds.
Okay, so I'm gonna close out my 20 seconds is I'm gonna say the take home. Whenever I end my lectures, I always give my students a take home message. I have been doing it for like over 20 years. And so tonight, I would say we're going to leave people with be grateful, be intentional, be flexible, and build and cherish relationships. Thank you, everyone. This has been awesome. We appreciate
Thank
you. Now
you.
give
Thank
yourselves
you.
a snap.
Snap, snap, snap.
Thanks for spending time with us on the Professor's Parlor. This podcast is part of Hospitality Nexus, a global human-first platform bringing the hospitality ecosystem together in one place. Inside the Nexus, it's a career fair that never closes, connecting industry leaders, educators, students, employers, and partners through real presence. Watch every episode of the Professor's Parlor inside Hospitality Nexus at hospitalitynexus.org. Stay curious, keep the dialogue going, and always lead with the spirit of hospitality.